Ludger Schwaben raises his hand and shouts for the match to begin, his commanding voice setting off the tension in the hall. His authority reverberates through the chamber, and all eyes turn to the arena where the duel is about to erupt. Anton Dern shows his sharp eyes locked with focus. His calm yet calculating expression suggests he's confident and has a strategy in place for this duel. With explosive speed, Anton charges forward, leaving behind energy trails and water sprays as his foot pounds the ground. The momentum and force he carries show his intent to dominate the fight from the outset. Aintz's eyes widen in alert surprise as he braces himself. He wasn't expecting such sudden aggression and must quickly adapt if he wants to stay in the game. The two clash swords with intense force, their blades sparking on contact. The expressions on their faces show both concentration and raw determination as they meet head-on in a test of strength and skill. Aintz's expression shifts again as Anton swings a glowing red strike at him. The energy around the move suggests it's enhanced, possibly a technique or buff meant to overpower Ain't in one clean blow. The powerful strike sends Ain't flying backward, flipping through the air from the impact. Anton watches with an unwavering posture, confident in the damage he just dealt. The gap in strength seems overwhelming. A mysterious figure suddenly steps onto the battlefield, interrupting Anton's follow-up strike. This intervention hints at someone unwilling to let the match reach its natural conclusion, possibly a mentor or a hidden supporter. Ain't is seen breathing heavily, his body marked by the struggle. Yet his grip on the sword is firm, and his posture upright, showing he's not ready to give up. The match has just begun, but he's already earned the crowd's attention. They observe from the balcony as they discuss the sparring match below. One remarks that the class randomly assigns sparring partners and points out how unlucky Ain't Armian is to face such a strong opponent. The scene erupts into a dazzling mid-air clash as Anto Dern and Ain't Armian's swords collide with explosive energy. The sheer force of the impact emphasizes the vast difference in skill and power between the two. A commentator voice notes that Ain't Armian ranked 38th in the entrance exam, while his opponent Anto Dern placed 10th, making the duel a heavily one-sided battle from the start. He watches the fight with a smug expression. He acknowledges Ain't Armian's disadvantage, but criticizes the lack of resistance, calling the match boring due to its predictability. Fernan, standing beside him, expresses disinterest and turns away, saying there's nothing worth watching anymore. He casually brushes his jacket as he walks off. However, he quickly contradicts his own words with a smirk, turning back toward the arena. He cryptically remarks that things may not be as dull as they seemed, capturing the attention of his companion. Back in the arena, Ain't Armian suddenly descends with blazing golden energy erupting from his body. His transformation stuns everyone, showing a sharp contrast from his earlier struggle. Anto Dern looks up in shock as a divine beam of energy splits through the air, locking onto him. The confidence in his expression fades as he senses a serious threat rising from his underestimated opponent. Swords clash with immense force, sending shockwaves through the arena, suggesting a shift in momentum during the fight. His waist shows them bracing themselves and regaining balance. The tense posture and grit suggest that the fighter is enduring pressure but determined to push forward in the duel. The crowd watches in surprise as he stands firm, seemingly unshaken and gaining composure. His confident stance signals that he's no longer on the defensive, drawing murmurs from the audience. The observer from earlier appears shocked and puzzled. He questions how Ain't Armian, previously struggling, is now turning the tables in what should have been a one-sided match. His expression reveals growing disbelief. He looks on with concern and astonishment. Recognizing Aintz's low ranking, he begins to question his own expectations as the underdog proves more capable than anticipated. They analyze the match. One notes that Ain't was caught off guard by the aggressive start, while the other highlights Aintz's clear confusion as a sign of inexperience. Yet their focus remains on how the fight is starting to shift. Anton clenched his fist. A caption reveals that by staying calm and responding with clarity, Ain't is slowly gaining control of the match, showing maturity under pressure. Anto Dern looks visibly rattled, staring ahead with tense eyes. He internally wrestles with the fact that he's being overwhelmed by someone who ranked 38th, far below his own top-tier position. His confidence begins to waver. A red and black explosion of power erupts around the arena as Anto, now desperate, unleashes a powerful strike. He yells internally in disbelief, struggling to accept that he might actually lose to a supposedly weaker opponent. Spectators debate the outcome. One acknowledges that Ain't is doing better than expected, but still believes Anto will win. Another remarks that Ain't has at least preserved some dignity for the imperial family by holding out this long. Yet a third cynically questions whether there's any honor in surviving when you placed 38th. A noble-looking observer comments on the unexpected situation Ain't Armian, who ranked only 38th, is forcing Anto Dern, ranked 10th, to activate Aura. There's a mix of surprise and admiration in his tone as he acknowledges that Ain't may be living up to his family name after all. He remarks that, despite having no talent, Ain't is putting up an impressive fight. This prompts a silent inner reaction from a dark-haired character, questioning the harsh assessment of Ain't's potential and whether the label "no talent" is really justified. Anton charges forward with fierce determination, eyes glowing and sword engulfed in blazing energy. His aura flares violently, making it clear he's not backing down. The sheer force of his will is captured as he prepares for a powerful strike. Ain't also powers up, confidently launching a counterattack. A narration refutes the idea that Ain't lacks talent, instead suggesting there's more to his story. Anto braces to meet Ain't head-on in a fiery clash of skills. Their swords collide with immense impact, sparks flying from the force of their clash. The panel emphasizes the raw intensity of the battle, with a loud, explosive sound effect marking the moment of contact. They engage in a fast-paced exchange of blows. He explains that Ain't's true limitation wasn't his ability, but the fact that his environment never gave him the support or chance to grow. The visuals highlight how evenly they're now matched. He watches the duel, smiling knowingly. He internally states that Ain't is no ordinary person, he's special. There's a quiet confidence in his expression, suggesting he always knew Ain't was more capable than people believed. Ain't's glowing golden eyes as he prepares to unleash his full power. He confirms a huge revelation. Ain't Armian is the one chosen by prophecy, which may explain his sudden rise and hidden strength. Anto's stunned expression, wide-eyed and shaken. The realization that the opponent he looked down on might actually surpass him leaves him speechless and visibly unnerved. One observer solemnly reflects on Ain't Armian's emergence, declaring him as the protagonist of this world. This highlights that Ain't's rise is not coincidental, but rather destined, aligning with greater forces at play. Ain't mid-air, his eyes glowing gold with awakened power. Below him, Anto Dern, once composed, now looks overwhelmed and shaken. Ain't's stance shows dominance, while Anto's expression signals his recognition of defeat. He clenches his jaw, clearly stunned by the sudden shift in battle. His expression reveals a mix of disbelief and concern as he witnesses Ain't overturn expectations on the battlefield. Two weapons clashing mid-air with incredible speed and force, suggesting the battle has reached a critical turning point. The intense momentum illustrates how far Ain't has pushed his opponent, forcing him to respond desperately. Anto Dern on the ground, kneeling in defeat. This silent yet powerful scene confirms the result of the clash, as the proud 10th ranked warrior has been forced to yield. The instructor announces Ain't as the winner with a thunderous shout. His eyes gleam with pride and satisfaction, emphasizing the significance of this underdog victory in front of the academy. Ain't Armian triumphantly raises his sword while roaring in victory. Radiant energy surrounds him, symbolizing the fulfillment of his latent potential and his acknowledgement by the academy. One student celebrates Ain't's victory, exclaiming that he defeated Anto Dern. Meanwhile, others look on in awe, processing the shocking outcome of the duel. Fernan smirks as he mentally celebrates Ain't's win. A chart showing rising profits, paired with a chibai Ain't and coins, symbolizes that the prophecy is fulfilled and that his investment in Ain't is already bringing personal and strategic rewards. The strategist plots the next steps. He muses about training Ain't properly and making him an ally. The blonde noble beside him, surprised by the outcome, remains silent, while the planner envisions Ain't as a key piece in his future ambitions. Two students sitting in the audience question the unexpected pairing between Ruina and her new partner. They express disbelief, wondering why someone of Ruina's caliber would settle for such a partner, hinting that the match seems unequal or politically strange. Ruina and her partner sit beside each other in the viewing area. Ruina appears calm and indifferent, while her partner is visibly uncomfortable with the growing attention from the crowd. Despite the whispers speculating about money or motives, Ruina remains composed, confident that the chatter will eventually die down. He casually asks Ruina if she has already consumed the elixir he gave her and whether she changed her equipment accordingly. He seems confident and eager to hear her feedback, leaning forward with a teasing expression, while Ruina appears stoic and a bit flustered as she replies with a hesitant silence. In a flashback or daydream, Ruina dramatically showcases her new equipment with great enthusiasm, lifting her sword high and radiating pride. A nearby girl excitedly cheers her on, clearly impressed by Ruina's upgraded appearance and battle-ready gear. The playful, sparkly background emphasizes Ruina's giddy joy. Ruina remembers another moment where she unleashed an overwhelming power after taking the elixir, stunning even her maid, who was worried about her going overboard. Blushing from the memory, Ruina downplays it in the present and tells him that it wasn't bad, trying to appear composed despite her obvious excitement. A mysterious woman's feet echo as she walks confidently down a polished floor. Her sharp heels and steady steps create a suspenseful build-up as she asks if everyone is present, signaling the beginning of an important event or class. Professor Rosalia enters alongside the Professor Grad. She notes that everyone seems to be paired up and asks for confirmation that no one is late. Her stern demeanor contrasts with his relaxed posture, setting the stage for a joint instruction session. Professor Rosalia formally introduces herself as the representative of the Magic Department. Beside her is Professor Grad, who is well known from the Night Department. She announces that the two departments will now be participating in joint lectures going forward, marking the start of an integrated training approach. She steps forward holding a bundle of scrolls and announces the start of the lecture. He confirms whether everyone has received the maps handed out by the assistants earlier, ensuring that all students are equipped for the upcoming field exercise. The atmosphere is orderly, and the students appear attentive as they prepare for instructions. The first lecture is revealed to be a practical session. A glowing magic circle is activated by Professor Rosalia, hinting that real-world application of their studies will begin right away. The scene is filled with magical energy, raising the stakes for the students. Professor Rosalia emphasizes that true understanding comes through experience, not just theory. Alongside her, Professor Grad activates a magic projection of a terrain map. They inform the students that they will be placed directly into a field exercise, reinforcing the seriousness of the class. He explains that the maps contain specific destination points. Each student or team is required to reach their marked location within 4 hours. This time-bound field task seems to be a test of their navigation, teamwork, and real-time decision-making abilities. Professor Grad hands out rolled maps to the students seated before him. He ensures that everyone has received the maps distributed earlier by the assistants, signaling the beginning of a serious practical exercise. The magical map reveals a vast forested terrain with marked destinations and compass symbols. The students are instructed to arrive at the designated location at exactly 2 p.m., not a minute earlier or later. The timing is critical, and any deviation might result in penalties or mission failure. a student raises his hand to ask a question, wondering if this assignment will affect their academic grades. The hall is filled with anticipation, as most students await clarification on how this practical task ties into their overall performance. Professor Rosalia responds, declaring that this mission is second in importance only to the midterm and final exams. Another student boldly asks whether conflicts between participants are allowed, revealing the competitive undercurrent among them. With a confident smirk, Rosalia confirms that capturing opponents will actually grant bonus points, effectively turning the mission into a strategic and possibly combative challenge. This raises the stakes dramatically, encouraging students to view others as both rivals and opportunities. With no further questions, Rosalia activates a magical teleportation array using her staff. The students are visibly shocked as the light engulfs the room, signaling that the exercise is commencing right away without any time to prepare further. The scene shifts to a tranquil forest where Fernan and Ruina find themselves standing together. They gaze at a rainbow-like magical trail above the trees, realizing they've been transported deep into nature. Now standing on a cliff, he looks around and asks where they are, clearly disoriented. Ruina remains composed and says they need to figure it out using the map, showing her calm and strategic nature even in an unfamiliar environment. Ruina pulls out the map from her uniform, ready to examine it and plan their route. Her focused expression suggests that she is taking the lead in navigating their mission efficiently. Suddenly, they spot two other students in the forest. One of them addresses Ruina by name, seemingly surprised to see her. Ruina and her partner remain partially hidden, assessing the situation as they realize that running into other teams might happen sooner than expected. They analyze their situation, identifying Jane Hux and Ned Palin as being outside the top 70. They calmly assess whether it's even worth their time to engage with such low-ranking opponents, treating the scenario more like a calculation than a threat. Jane and Ned, overhearing the conversation, are visibly offended by being called scraps. Their expressions turn sour as they realize they're being looked down on and dismissed by their peers. He reflects quietly to himself, admitting that normally he would ignore weaker students and walk away. However, this time feels different, and he seems willing to act outside his usual approach. He then declares that he'll follow his partner's decision entirely for this situation. This surprises her, whose eyes gleam with excitement at the mention of bonus points repeatedly echoing in the background, showing their true motivation. Without hesitation, she firmly grips his sword and proposes a simple plan: secure bonus points first, then consult the map to determine their location. It's clear they've decided on an aggressive start. He questions whether using magic would be a more efficient method to determine their coordinates. He suggests checking if there's any spell that could give them a positional advantage instantly. Fernan clarifies that he wasn't talking about magic, but instead about climbing to high ground for a better vantage point. This leads to a comical back and forth as his partner questions how that's any better than just reading the map. Meanwhile, Jane and Ned notice the distraction and seize the opportunity to escape. They quietly whisper to each other and make a break for it, hoping to avoid a confrontation altogether. Just as they begin to flee, she flips through the air with impressive agility, preparing for an ambush. His figure slices downward, casting a looming shadow over the pair, clearly catching them off guard. As Jane and Ned look up in horror, they are met with an electrifying presence. She radiates power, and as he lands, he aggressively asserts that bonus points are a priority. The terrified screams from Jane and Ned confirm that they are no match for his overwhelming force. A powerful magic eruption bursts from the character's body, channeling energy from a glowing staff. The force is so intense it creates a ring of swirling purple energy at the ground and shockwaves in the surroundings, revealing a dramatic escalation in combat power. A sword pierces the ground with glowing purple energy trailing around it, signaling the conclusion of a powerful strike or spell. The energy crackles faintly, suggesting either a barrier has been pierced or an enchantment dispelled. As they walk away casually, a conversation reveals the maps used by participants had a protective spell. He remarks he would have been more aggressive had he known, while a third person criticizes his supposedly gentle approach, pointing out the defeated opponents lying unconscious nearby. The nameplate for Magic Department Jane Hux, Ned Palin shatters into glowing fragments. This signifies their official elimination from the ongoing test or competition, with their disqualification being registered visibly for all to see. He observes the shattered paper and notes that another team has been eliminated. He seems surprised at the pace of eliminations, implying that the current test is far more brutal or competitive than expected. Professor Rosalia comments that none of the students have been defeated by monsters. Instead, the eliminations are due to student-on-student conflict. She finds this internal rivalry both curious and amusing, suggesting deeper psychological dynamics at play. Professor Grad asks if there are any pairs being closely observed. He identifies Ludger Schwaben and Alon Dornitz as the strongest based on academic performance, while also acknowledging another promising pair, Carlos Denev and Alia Torteca. However, the pair that catches the most attention is shown in full view Ruina Bershov and Fernan Fellenberg. Their confident stance, matching uniforms, and serious expressions suggest they're both powerful and unpredictable, standing out not only in strength but also in potential impact. Professor Rosalia confirms that Ruina and Fernan are indeed the most intriguing pair. Her remark that they're stirring up interest among Professor Rosalia, calmly observing from afar, notices the rising commotion and energy spikes. Her sharp gaze picks up the magical fluctuations, and she deduces that a major battle is unfolding somewhere nearby. Her expression shifts from curiosity to keen interest. Standing beside her, the professor pinpoints the location as the Western Mountain region. His tone reveals concern, suspecting the students may already be engaging monsters. However, confusion lingers due to the unexpected timing and location of the clash. Rosalia, examining the area through magical projections, corrects him monsters aren't supposed to appear in that region. As she activates a glowing magic circle with her hand, she suggests they investigate further, raising the stakes of the situation. Through the projection, they confirm that the clash is between two high-ranking pairs previously mentioned by Rosalia. The red-haired instructor's interest is piqued, seeing this unexpected confrontation as an exciting development. His smirk hints that this unplanned duel might serve their purposes perfectly. Lightning crackles across the sky in a violent display as energy surges through the forest canopy. The name Fernan Fillenberg is uttered with anticipation. Someone finally has the chance to witness the full extent of his power firsthand. The battle is no longer just a skirmish, it's become a true test of strength. He is violently hurled downward amidst a red energy storm, crashing through debris. His body spins out of control as he clutches his staff, overwhelmed by the sheer force of the attack. The red energy crackling around him suggests the presence of a high-intensity confrontation or possibly a magical overload. A fierce clash between two fighters, both engulfed in intense elemental power. The girl, wielding a sword wrapped in blue lightning, descends with ferocious momentum. The scene radiates raw magical force and desperation, with their powers colliding mid-air in explosive fashion. She surges forward, her entire figure surrounded by brilliant blue energy arcs. With staff in hand, she advances aggressively toward her target, undeterred by the magical chaos. She is now suspended mid-air, surprised by a sudden change in his body. Glowing with golden light, he realizes his body feels unusually light, enhancing his agility. The transformation hints at a buff or awakening. Fernan activates a support magic spell mid-air, his hand glowing with a complex magical array beneath him. The energy around him distorts the space. His composed expression contrasts the chaotic battlefield, surprising anyone who notices that he still has the focus to cast support spells. With furrowed brows and a focused gaze, he internally questions how even he has the time or presence of mind to activate support magic amidst the intense combat. The disbelief in his expression reflects just how extraordinary the feat truly is. In a confident and slightly cocky tone, he grins as sparkles surround him. With a charming smirk, he boasts, "I'm awesome, right?" While she, flustered and exasperated, reacts with frustration, labeling him as crazy. She, now supercharged by the support magic, flips mid-air while descending toward her opponent. Her blade gleams as she targets her enemy with renewed speed and strength. Her opponent braces himself, teeth clenched, realizing too late that her movement has accelerated beyond his expectations. She tries to suppress his surprise and refocus. He quickly reminds himself that this isn't the time to be overwhelmed or caught off guard. Determination flashes in his eyes as he shifts his priorities, vowing to subdue Alia first before dealing with him. With a thunderous crash, she smashes her opponent into the ground, leaving a crater of shattered earth and flying rubble. The sheer power of the strike demonstrates the overwhelming enhancement she received. The scene freezes for a second in raw impact, highlighting the devastating success of the support magic strategy. Ruina clashes fiercely with the opponent, both locked in a deadly struggle as their swords grind against each other. The tension is intense, each movement charged with desperation and strength. Sparks fly from the blades. Another mage, surrounded by crackling lightning energy, narrows his eyes with a confident and calculated expression. The ambient glow of his power intensifies, giving off a dangerous aura. His confident demeanor suggests that he's about to cast a significant spell. A burst of blue lightning energy snakes through the air with incredible force and speed. The energy blast is wild and unrestrained, traveling across the battlefield, aimed at disrupting the opponent's momentum. Its erratic yet focused path showcases the raw power being unleashed by the mage, with the potential to paralyze or incapacitate the enemy. Ruina's expression changes to shock as she feels the sudden surge of magic engulf her. Her opponent stares at her, seizing this opportunity. Ruina's reaction implies she was not prepared for this kind of spell, and it has effectively stopped her attack in its tracks. Ruina's tightly clenched hand gripping her sword. Magical lightning circulate along the blade and up her arm, clearly binding her movements. The detail emphasizes the restrictive nature of the spell. Despite her resolve, she is now locked in place by the paralyzing force, as the lightning begins to subdue her physical resistance. Ruina is completely immobilized, her body enveloped by coils of electric energy. Her internal dialogue confirms her struggle. She can't move despite her efforts. The magical lightning has rendered her motionless, and the once fluid warrior now stands as a still target. It's a vulnerable moment that could shift the battle in her opponent's favor. The opponent smirks triumphantly and taunts her, calling her name Ruina. He's confident that the spell has worked perfectly and that victory is within his grasp. His cocky expression and glowing red eyes show that he's not only a strong opponent, but also one who relishes dominating his foes psychologically as well as physically. Ruina, though visibly strained, clenches her teeth and growls that this is nothing. Her eyes glow with defiance as she resists the lightning's effects. Her inner strength and determination flare up, refusing to submit. The warrior prepares to finish it, gathering a powerful aura in his blade while standing above a still-bound Ruina. He believes that if he releases his power now, he can end the duel. The dramatic lighting and his raised sword suggest that the final blow is imminent unless Ruina finds a way to fight back in the next instant. A large rock crashes to the ground, kicking up debris and leaving cracks spidering across the grassy terrain. The impact is powerful, implying a magical or unexpected event has just occurred. Two students, startled by the appearance of the rock, rush to inspect it. One of them, confused, shouts, while the other questions what just happened. Purple lightning-like energy crackles around the rock, hinting at some sort of magical exchange or teleportation. She stands beside him holding a staff with a glowing crystal. Shock crosses her face as she realizes something, indicating that she may have connected the rock to her teammate's sudden disappearance. Staring intently at the mysterious object, she asks in disbelief, "What is this?" Her expression mixes confusion with rising suspicion, as she senses this isn't just any ordinary rock. He gives a smug explanation. With a confident smirk, he casually reveals that the phenomenon is magic developed by his family. He adds that it looked useful, so he took the time to learn it immediately, implying he used it here on purpose. Her eyes narrow in realization. With electricity crackling in the background, she pieces it together and exclaims that the magic swaps things of equal weight. The revelation hits hard. Ruina was likely switched out with this rock. She suddenly turns on him in disbelief, demanding, "How do you know my body weight?" He, unfazed, coolly responds that it was listed in the student record. The situation turns awkward as she's visibly flustered and embarrassed by his calm response to such a personal detail. The spell completes as Ruina is seen soaring through the sky, descending from the magical exchange. Purple lightning erupts again as the trade reverses, and he adds that although the rock may appear heavy, it actually isn't, hinting at a clever trick to execute the magic swap. She loses their temper, aggressively shaking another student while declaring they'll find and destroy the student record. The outburst reflects deep embarrassment or a desire to erase something from the past, while the victim pleads to be treated gently, clearly caught in the storm unwillingly. She is seen recklessly flinging the other student through the air during a high-speed charge. The one being carried complains about being moved so roughly, highlighting their constant mistreatment and comic suffering, even in critical moments. He is now holding a staff, preparing to enter battle. He directs his companion to focus on blocking Carlos while he handles Alia, trying to take some control over the situation. Meanwhile, he laments his frequent rough landings and physical abuse, showing that despite his competence, he's often mistreated or underestimated. He looks up in shock as glowing magic circles begin to swirl above. The air crackles with tension and power, suggesting that a powerful spell, likely Carlos' signature move, is being prepared. His reaction indicates awareness of the incoming threats. He smirks as he notes that Carlos has finally begun using his true power. He identifies Carlos as a lightning-type mage known for unleashing torrential lightning, hinting that what's coming is not only dangerous but Carlos' signature multi-casting ability. The terrifying might of Carlos Denev's magic, dozens of lightning bolts simultaneously form a pillar of light as he unleashes a multi-cast storm. The battlefield is overwhelmed by chaotic energy as Carlos and Fernan channel this devastating technique, underscoring why he's the department's top student. He calmly analyzes Carlos' attack. He recalls studying this move and preparing a counter-strategy. His composed demeanor contrasts sharply with the overwhelming power displayed, suggesting he may have a surprise in store. He holding two glowing blue orbs, prepared to activate a countermeasure. He expresses cautious optimism, stating that he's finally ready to test his plan. This marks a turning point where preparation and research may finally pay off in a high-stakes confrontation. He activates his magic while standing firm under the storm of lightning. His staff is lit with energy, and his confident smirk returns. Surrounded by flashes of power and mysterious red spheres, it's clear he's not afraid. He has something ready to match Carlos' might. Carlos activates a glowing blue artifact, channeling a wave of mana through his staff. His confident posture and the surge of energy swirling around him suggest he's preparing a powerful, possibly finishing, attack against his opponent. The mage's intense gaze locks onto the other character's widened, shocked eyes. It's clear that the sudden magical onslaught has caught the opponent off guard, creating a tense moment of reaction and realization. A powerful explosion of blue lightning erupts across the battlefield, silhouetting the figure at the center of the impact. The bolts of magical energy tear through the area with blinding intensity, signaling the magnitude of the spell cast. Smoke and residual lightning shroud the aftermath, and a silhouette of the figure who was at the center of the blast now stands unharmed. Despite the overwhelming force of the attack, the figure remains unshaken, suggesting he withstood it completely. As the smoke clears, he smirks confidently. His relaxed expression and the faint glow in his eyes show that not only did he survive the attack, but he might have even anticipated. He is left stunned, yelling in disbelief. His words, "You blocked that? No way," capture the raw shock and frustration of seeing his high-level spell neutralized so effortlessly by someone he clearly underestimated. Regaining his composure, he examines two dark orbs levitating on the ground. He explains aloud that they are storage devices designed to absorb mana, giving insight into the mechanics behind the spell's failure. Fernan casually admits he modified the devices. He explains how they were difficult and costly to make but turned out to be highly effective in battle. His calm demeanor adds insult to the purple-haired mage's earlier surprise. A humorous turn as Fernan remarks on the item's potential for mass production and commercial value. The opponent, furious, calls it cheating, accusing his opponent of using artifacts unfairly during the duel. He calmly responds to the accusation of cowardice in battle with a smirk, confidently asserting that there's no such thing when it comes to combat. He then reminds his opponent of the professor's earlier warning that this match is to be treated as real practice, implying that all tactics are fair game under those conditions. Carlos is stunned speechless, visibly flustered and sweating as he processes the realization. His wide eyes suggest that he may have underestimated his willingness to push boundaries in this supposedly controlled environment. His mouth shows a cold and deliberate smirk as he utters the name Ruina, his voice laced with a chilling calm. The mention of the name seems to signal, hinting that something or someone is about to be unleashed. Upon hearing this, he panics and his expression turns to alarm as he cries out in desperation, realizing what might happen next. He shifts his attention, likely fearing for Alia's safety. His voice carries urgency, suggesting that the situation has just escalated beyond a simple spar. He, with an unsettlingly composed smile, commands, "Finish her." The order is precise, calculated, and shows that he has no intention of holding back. Her eyes ignite with a vibrant glow as she channels a surge of power. The magical energy manifests as intense, swirling light, highlighting her fierce determination. Her posture and expression show she's not backing down despite being the target. In a clash, two swords, one infused with blinding blue energy, collide with immense force. The impact sends shockwaves through the area as Ruina duels head-on with Alia, sparks flying around them in a dazzling explosion of magic and steel. It's clear that the battle has entered a critical phase. They stand on a cliffside, engaged in a serious conversation, one of them exuding an air of authority. Other listens attentively, indicating that something important regarding the test or the participants is being discussed. They begin analyzing the status of the test, noting that only 2 of the original 4 students are still present. This indicates a dropout, which triggers a procedural response. They instruct the assistants to immediately transport any dropouts to the designated destination, hinting at the formality and rigor of this academy exercise. He reflects on the situation, noting that no student mage could possibly block Carlos's powerful lightning magic. He suggests that this time, Fernan Fillenberg and Ruina Bershef might have simply been unlucky, implying their skills were not lacking, just their fortune in facing a tough opponent. He corrects him, confirming that it was indeed Fernan and Bershef who were targeted. He explains that Fernan prefers to keep a low profile and has been deliberately hiding his strength. However, being paired with someone like Bershef, who is driven by grades, will eventually force him to reveal his true capabilities. He explains that Fernan will have no choice but to match Ruina's academic zeal, which will in turn push him to show his full potential. He confidently predicts that if Fernan unleashes his real abilities, his rank will undoubtedly climb, further solidifying his place among the elite students. He then reveals a deeper concern: his own social circle is filled with people who would eagerly exploit any opportunity to bring him down if his rank were to drop. This competitive and cutthroat environment keeps him alert and strategic about whom to support or suppress. With that context, he states plainly that he cannot afford to ignore potential rivals like Fernan. As he stands beside his companion, observing the field, we see a group of students in the background listening quietly. His declaration isn't just casual, it's a warning cloaked in strategy. Turning to those students, he reassures them that following him guarantees a safe arrival at the destination. He promises that as long as they remain loyal and stick with him, they will score high in the test, clearly trying to cement his leadership through promises of success. However, his tone quickly shifts as he identifies a problem. There is one pair that must be eliminated before the end of the exam. His words are heavy with intent, and the tension rises as he names the targets Ruina Berchev and Fernan Fillenberg, singling them out as obstacles to his ambitions. Fernan and Ruina in motion, ready for battle. Fernan stands confidently while Ruina lunges forward with her blade drawn. The image, showing that they are not going down easily, they are prepared to resist, revealing the strength that had been kept hidden until now.